Hey friends, it's me. I'm just kind of checking in right now. I know this is a little weird. I know that it's kind of abnormal for several reasons. First, many of us are still in our homes, just still hanging out. Second, it is Easter, and we don't typically meet on Easter for youth group. But I did want to just take a second, mainly because this season I've been thinking a lot. It's been kind of weird, right? We're a little out of our ordinary, or a lot out of our ordinary. We've had a lot of changes happen. We've been trying to work through what it means to live right now in the midst of a pandemic. Um, but as we were kind of leading up to Easter, I've been thinking more and more on what to talk about or what to teach on because I was still fully planning on doing some sort of Zoom youth group or something for Easter, but instead I just wanted to put out a video just to have you guys hang out to chill on Easter with your families because I know that some of you are still eating Easter dinner. I know that some of you guys are just resting right now and recovering from a huge Easter meal. Or you're outside trying to find the eggs that the Easter Bunny left. Yes, Governor Whitmer did say that the Easter Bunny is an essential worker, so those will be outside. You should go find them. So, beyond that, here's the thing. When I was thinking about Easter, it's been on my mind more and more because where we're at right now is kind of weird. It lines up kind of weird with how the first Easter lined up. Not in the same way where we're worried about going outside because somebody's going to find us and kill us, but in the same way that we're all kind of in our own homes and we're not really sure what lies outside of our doors. We're kind of in this weird precarious situation where we are stuck between wanting to live a normal life, but also being affected by just stepping outside. And in that way, at least, the disciples were kind of in this during the first Easter season, during the first Easter, that is. The disciples, if you guys don't know the Easter story, the disciples were the followers of Jesus. They had spent all their time with him. They had gone step by step with him, hearing his parables, watching his miracles, doing all the things with him, seeing who Jesus was. And many of them proclaimed him as Lord, right? They said that you are the Son of God. You are the one that we will follow. You are everything. You're the one that we've been waiting for. And a few days prior to that Easter Sunday, they just watched him be crucified. And beyond that, many of them were terrified that they were going to die because they watched this criminal now be crucified and they're known associates. And so they're afraid, they're frightened, they're stuck in a place. They're stuck inside, full of fear and not sure what to do next. And so I just kind of want to talk a little bit today about where our hope is. You see, I've said it before, but here's the truth. Fear is a reaction to our current situation, and hope is a choice. Fear is a reaction to our current situation, but hope is a choice. Now, I'm not saying, once again, to not be slightly afraid or to not be a little cautious with what we do, right? Like, you don't throw caution into the wind or anything like that. But we can let that fear overtake our normal life and change who we are when we let that become too big or too important for us. And so I wanted to talk about today where our hope is found. I'm not going to give you the magical end-all solution to all the things happening in the world. Nothing like that. I just wanted to remind you of what you are called to be. I wanted to remind you of what you have your faith in. Because the truth is this, that who we have our faith in is way bigger than anything that's happening. It's way bigger than anything that could happen. It's Jesus. And so we're going to open up the Bible, go to a couple places today. So first, we're going to be in 1 Corinthians 15. And we're going to start just in verse 1. This is Paul relaying the gospel message once again to the Corinthian church. 1 Corinthians 15. Now, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you of the gospel I preached to you, which you received and on which you have taken your stand. By this gospel you are saved, if you hold firmly to the word I preached to you. Otherwise, you've believed in vain. For what I received, I passed on to you as first importance. that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, that he was buried, he was raised on the third day according to the Scriptures. He appeared to Cephas and then to the 12. After that, he appeared to more than 500 of the brothers and sisters at the time, most of whom are still living, though some have fallen asleep. Then he appeared to James, and then to all the apostles. So if you've been a Christian for a while, this is relatively well known, right? This is the Easter story. If you've never gone to a church service other than Easter, you've probably heard this story, right? It's that Jesus, well, he died, he was buried, and then he was resurrected. Now, here's the thing. As Christians, we talk an awful lot about the importance of the cross, right? Like, it is the cross. It is a cross. Lead me to the cross. Go. We have a cross in our church. But here's the thing. The cross itself was really the beginning of this. Now, if Jesus was the Son of God, if Jesus was who he said he was, if he did all of these things, and he still died on the cross, but was never resurrected, then nothing changes, right? Death still holds its power over the world. Death is still there invading everything. Our sins, yeah, they could have been taken, but we are still sinful people, and we still will pay the punishment for it. What's important on Easter that we focus on and that we talk about is the resurrection. Because the resurrection changes things. The resurrection shook everything. The foundations of what we understood as people, the foundations of what we understood God as, it shifted. It changed. Now, this God that we thought we were following is more powerful than we even began to understand. And Paul hints at this again in Romans. In Romans 6, he says this. Romans 6, verse 9. For we know that since Christ was raised from the dead, he cannot die again. Death no longer has mastery over him. The death he died to sin once for all. But the life he lives to God. The truth is this, that the resurrection changes things. This is the hope that we have. Now, here's the funny thing about hope, right? What you have your hope in is directly related to how much hope you should have. That sounds kind of weird. Let me explain. So, I am a Cincinnati Reds fan. I hope every year that they are going to have a good year. And if you watch baseball, you know that my hope is probably unfounded. I'm also a Lions fan. Now, I hope that they're going to have a good year. I know better, but I hope so every year. And you'll know that hope's probably unfounded too. We'll transition to a team that's actually good. Many of you know that I'm also an Ohio State fan. Yes, I'm sorry, but you knew this. And I hope that they're going to have a good year every year. And it happens, right? It happens almost every year because they're Ohio State. The Ohio State, sorry. So you can see right there, right? If you hope in a good thing, then it will probably come to pass. If you hope in this unfounded trust in something that doesn't have power, that isn't strong, that isn't good, then it's probably not going to come to pass. The Reds and the Lions have been in a rebuilding year almost as long as I've been alive. And they probably will be as long as I am alive. But transitioning from that sports analogy, we have our hope placed in the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. We have our hope placed in God. We have our hope placed in this Jesus who didn't stay dead, but in 3 days got up and walked out of that tomb. Our hope is founded in the greatest foundation we could ever have. That's the hope that you have, and that's the hope that I have as Christians. This is the hope that we as followers of Jesus have, because he's the God who didn't stay dead. He's the God who lives. He's alive today. And he loves you. And he wants to have an intimate relationship with you. And the truth is that he's going to be that God for all of eternity. That's the hope that we have. So I hope that you have time to hang out with your family, to have some fun, to laugh. But I just wanted you guys to remember that today. That the hope that we have is founded in an unshakable, unbreakable God. All right, until next time, see you guys later.